Well, it looks like we should get started because, again, we do want to honor all of your time. I know that you are all educators, so if you are a school administrator attending with us tonight, you are extremely busy and have a long to-do list on your plate. And if you are an educator joining us tonight, you have grading, lesson planning, and you also have a long to-do list. And so we also want to honor the work-life balance and that your families also need your time and attention. And so we're so excited that you can join us this evening to be a part of this exploration into our math department and to how we support our students with learning differences, and also how to be a part of what our languages look like on this campus. And so we're glad that you're participating in this articulation between the high school and our middle school families. And so thank you for just being here tonight. And I know that you are giving up your freedom, your free time, and that's a very precious time to join us in this conversation. And so I look forward to turning it over immediately to our amazing assistant principal, Tina Zapata, to open us in prayer.
Thank you. Thank you, Marlena. And thank you everyone for joining us. So our prayer we're going to start with tonight. We do have a slide for that. I don't know. Can everybody else see the slide? I can't see the slide on my end.
Yet.
But, okay. I'll go ahead and just give it a
Here
minute.
it comes.
Just so people can follow along. And so this is our Dominican blessing that we like to lead a lot of our gatherings together. We'd like to start with this prayer. And so in the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. And as we calm our minds and our bodies and join together, let's share in this Dominican blessing. May God, Creator, bless us. May God, Redeemer, heal us. And may God, the Holy Spirit, fill us with light. Amen. In the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Thank you all for joining us. And I'm going to turn it over to, I believe Rebecca is up next, our principal.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I do have to give a shout out because one of the wonderful educators on here did make it through last year with my daughter as her 7th grade teacher. So shout out to Miss Rivas for making it here tonight. Really grateful for all of you being here. My name is Rebecca Bostic, and I am the principal here at Flint Ridge Sacred Heart Academy. This is my 2nd year in this role as principal. And I'm here just to kind of give that big kind of picture opening and just school philosophy, just give you a sense of who we are. So can you click it one more time? Because I think thanks. So at Flint Ridge Sacred Heart Academy, we are, our mission, we're an all-girl Catholic, Dominican independent boarding and day school. And our mission is to educate young women for lives of faith, integrity, and truth. We call it being a fit woman or a fit tolog. Our mascot is a tolog. They don't all know what it is, and we kind of like that, the kind of funkiness of it. It's an acronym for To Our Lady of Good Success, but our mascot's Teddy Tolog. We're all girl. We are boarding and day, so our boarding population is anywhere between sort of 7 and 15% of our overall student population, and they live on campus in an administration building that was originally a hotel. So if you haven't been up to the hill, as we call it yet, I invite you to find a way to come up here. Reach out to Gloria and Andrea. We'd love to have you for lunch or breakfast or just for a tour or to come with students. We would love to show you around. We are blessed with a really beautiful space. Our sisters, we are Catholic because we are sponsored by the Dominican Sisters of Mission San Jose. I am the first non-sister or lay principal, serving in this role for 2 years. And Sister Celeste Botello, who was previously principal, is now the prioress of the Mission San Jose Dominicans, the order that is still located in Mission San Jose, started this school in 1931 and directly led it for the first 91 years as a principal and president. Our president, Sister Carolyn McCormick, was the last sister who retired at the end of last year. And then, so this is our first year with two lay leaders, myself and Miss Marlena Conroy, who started off the evening for us. So it's been a time of change for Flint Ridge Sacred Heart. And it's something that we have really leaned into. It's been a blessing in getting to lean even harder into having to articulate really specifically who we are as a Dominican Catholic school and what that means. So we can go to the next slide, please, Andrea. Thank you. So I have our mission here, and really this is a sense of just who we are. As a Dominican school, we're founded, the Dominican order is much older than we are, and we really it's the order of preachers. And so the main kind of emphasis for Dominicans is this pursuit of veritas. Veritas is Latin for truth. And what that means for us in our everyday is the way that we proceed through our academic program is instilling in our students that curiosity and that passion for seeking truth and finding truth within that Catholic school context that says there is a truth, right? And that we are really always striving and going to work harder and harder to become better understanders of the wonderful world that God has created, but also to understand and serve the problems of the world that we know exist throughout the world. So we really try to equip our students to become wonderful people on the Hill, but more important to us is the work that they will do off the Hill as they go and they launch into their lives beyond us. And while they're here, we really try to engage in community work and lots of different things like that to help them grow in their perspective and understanding of issues that impact our community and the larger world. So Veritas is at the corner, is the cornerstone, I should say, of everything we do. The patroness of the Dominican order is, well, kind of the patroness really of our school. The patroness of the Dominican order is actually Mary Magdalene, but the patroness of our school is the Dominican Saint Catherine of Siena. And this is the quote for which she is most well known: "Be who God meant you to be, and you will set the world on fire." And I think it's an important distinction for us that we are not here to help make our students a good person per se, or we are not here because we think we're going to form them. We understand that all of them are already beautifully and wonderfully created in the image of God. And our job is to help them distill their passion, their gifts, and their purpose. And how do we do that? By really focusing in on small class sizes. This is not a school where a student has the opportunity to sit back if she hasn't done the reading or hasn't studied for the test, because we have small classes, anywhere really from like 10 to probably normally the students will be in a class of about 13 to 19, going up to sort of a 22 max in most cases. Unless you have someone like Miss Jones who just insists more kids can take advanced algebra because they really want to challenge themselves. So she opened herself up to that. But that's like a rare, few and far between. And then some classes are smaller, around like 8 students. So this is a great place for a student who thrives on individual attention, who thrives on relationship. Our teachers are incredible. I am also the parent of a current sophomore, and so it's been really fun and delightful to get to see my colleagues who I've known over the course of my 6 years being here, then from this different perspective of my daughter and her friends engaging with, either, being nervous about the assignment they have coming up or really questioning some of the discussions that they had in class. I love getting to go and observe my teachers. I got to do that today, just to go see 4 teachers for a little bit in the course of an hour. Our blocks are an hour and 20 minutes. And what I saw was, we're a month into school. Everyone knows each other's names. The students are interacting kindly with one another. The teachers are noticing specific things with students, giving them that real in-time corrections, and encouragements of like, I heard one of my math teachers say, don't get discouraged. That's a hard problem and you got almost all of it right. This is just one little thing. We really know, we're experts in how the girl brain works. We really study that. We give professional development on that. And so we really are this loving and supportive environment where I really think any student can thrive. Community is really important to us. So I'll take us through now just a few more slides to give you a bigger sense of our program. As a Dominican school, we focus in on the 4 pillars of the Dominican charism, which are prayer, study, community, and service. And so I'll just take us through each of those and just give you a big picture sense of how we live those. So we want to go to the next slide, please. So the first is prayer. Our students, we are a Catholic school, and we are about 50 to 60% Catholic. And within that 50%, 50 to 60% Catholic, as if you're in a Catholic context, you know, that can cover a huge range of the way that we identify with that faith. With my faith, our faith, because I am Catholic and our leadership is Catholic. And we really believe that that brings value to our community, that the different faiths that come together. We had Mass today, we had our Mass of the Holy Spirit, and it's a really lovely thing to watch all of these students participate, knowing that not all of them are Catholic, and yet many of them have taken, 3 to 4 years of religious studies while in school. One of the things that then is lovely to see, and I taught religious studies for many years here and in other Catholic girls' school contexts, is that when there's an opportunity for a student who doesn't come from the Catholic faith background to share about their experience of being a Christian or a Muslim or a Hindu, the Catholic students are so excited to give light and voice to that conversation. So that's always a moment I love to see, in part because I think they understand, like, you know so much about my faith tradition. And so they're always really eager to hear about how another faith tradition is lived and expressed. So also, this is a place where, because we understand the faith formation of teenagers, we try to really help students identify with a spirituality that is their own, that if they are Catholic, they would understand what that means, that would be their choice, not something that is just because their family is also, but that they would grow more deeply in their faith. So one of the ways we do that is through our really vibrant retreat program. The students have a Cairo-style retreat in the senior year. The junior year, they go to Catalina for a retreat that focuses on eco-spirituality and Pope Francis's Laudato Si. And then sophomores have an overnight in Malibu and a day retreat on campus, and freshmen have 2-day retreats. We really find this is an important time to build community within the classes and to just build that understanding of what it means to be a Catholic school in that way that is, I believe, so inherently Catholic in community, right? That we see, that's one of the things that differentiates us from our Protestant brothers and sisters in many traditions, is we all take communion together. We don't take the host back to, the pew and consume it individually. For Catholics, community is a piece of how we experience God. The priest today said, expressed, when he was reminding them how to take communion, that when I give you the body of Christ, of which you are a part. And we really believe that. We really channel that energy of really treating each student and encouraging them to be treated as unique children of God. So the retreat program is important. We start every day with prayer, and it is a piece of who we are and what we do. Of course, we exist for school. I mean, we exist for many reasons, but study is in some ways a given, but something that also relates back to our Dominican tradition. We count St. Thomas Aquinas, very well known, one of the best known philosophers, hugely influential in Western culture, and he was a Dominican saint. That pursuit of truth and different ideas and challenging ideas, things that might challenge a teacher, might challenge even Catholic teaching, we invite that struggle. We want our girls to ask hard questions. We want them to challenge themselves. And we want them to dig in and feel that, that discomfort of the not knowing, because that is such an important, it's just such an important skill for any of us to develop. So we do learning, though, as you can see within the context of joy. That first photo that I had with the girls in the boat, that's part of our physics regatta, where they all make boats. They design, I should say, boats out of cardboard, and each year is a different challenge. Some years they need to stay afloat longer. Some years they need to be faster. Some years the water line has to be in a very specific spot. And so they design with like a different amounts of challenges. You can see in the second photo, that's part of their physics class where they make games that then you go around and you play. And that's actually, that face with the extended mouth is our physics teacher and our alum, Miss Kozakar. They are, sorry, I should have warned you, they are just dissecting rats, not those other pictures, but they're very happy about it. And they really enjoy learning and community, a lot of hands-on work, a lot of, we really believe in an inquiry model, meaning that they are asking questions and teachers are trying to get them to ask questions, because we know that that is how, I think, students, but especially young women, learn the best, and and embolden them. You will never hear a student not get corrected if she says, this is a stupid question, but because like 4 adults will be like, there are no stupid questions, really jumping in to help build their confidence. So study is something that is, we have a very, Abby David, our ninth grade counselor, is going to walk you through the classes and courses they can take. But I will just add that we were, I believe, the first all-girls school in Southern California to have a completely dedicated department for computer science. So it's its own department. We have a really wonderful programming course and computer science principle courses that students can take, and from any level. It's not just for the advanced kids. We have a scientific research course that is also one of kind of our signature programs, where they are doing, truly, it was started by a Caltech professor, and they are doing college level research that they continue. It's about work with microplastics and these planaria worms, and that they use to regenerate. It's fascinating. The girls are much better at describing it than I am, but you should come to our research fair in May if you would like to see some of that in action. It's really fascinating stuff. I'll talk first also about our research program. We, and in our commitment to Veritas and the pursuit of truth, we really and committed to study. We have a senior research program. In the junior year, they'll do a junior research paper, which is a large extended paper about a social justice topic related to Catholic social teaching principles. And then in the senior year, they take an entire course that is a senior research project-based course. So we offer it in gender studies, in religious studies, sometimes has one depending on interest, whether or not it runs, a statistics course that I'm sure Carol will talk about. There's a psychology one where they do like lots of different surveys and things like that. This honor scientific research, and then a gov one as well. And I might be forgetting one, but there's a few that we offer, and then some years they run based on interest and some years not. But then we have a research fair where they present their findings, and then we have a showcase where really kind of the most amazing projects elevated into a 20-minute presentation, and it's an evening presentation, and guests come through and the students present their findings and their project and their process. So that is a very important part of what they know they're building toward. Okay, next slide. Community, I always say this is why I got into this. This is the joy and the fun that makes an all-girls school an all-girls school. You know, lots of tutus and costumes and joy, loud joy. It's choreographed dances and sing-alongs and all the rest at our community assemblies. We call them we call our community assemblies pillars assemblies, and the students go through we go through kind of each area. We start with prayer. We talk about successes in study. We talk about community events coming up and then service opportunities coming up. But yes, the students, if your students are coming to visit in January, they'll likely get to see one of our Fish Olympics class competitions. Each class has a class color. It's all what you sort of see and live and expect to see in an American high school if you watch movies on, Netflix or wherever else. But there is a real level of joy and fun and student leadership that exists in our community. Our ASB is the one that runs these assemblies, and we really try to turn over all of that to them. And there's the successes are theirs and the challenges are ours, but they really do an amazing job. Our student leaders are really phenomenal. Okay, and then the last one is service. These are photos from our most recent service day that we do every fall. We have a service learning coordinator who plans engagements and partnerships with some different organizations. Now, with COVID kind of really coming to a close, we're really looking for a lot more opportunities to get girls, quite literally off the hill and into the community, and to do service opportunities and do service work, and just the benefit that we know that has to their learning when they understand the systems that exist out in the world. So service is a part of every club. In order to get a club sweatshirt at Flint Ridge Sacred Heart, the club has to sponsor and participate in a service activity. It's part of who we are, and it's baked in, and we're really committed to making sure that it's intentionally happening, because we really believe in the transformational impact that a service experience outside of the classroom can have on your work and your passions as a person inside the classroom. So many of you, I would imagine, because so many of the faculty that I have gotten to work with in the past and now choose this line of work, which is really, a helper job, a service industry in a lot of ways, because of an experience we have, because we care about education and care about kids. So we're really passionate about trying to help students, stumble into that opportunity where they find out how much they care for, a subset of our population that needs caring. And we really look to help build that lens. Sometimes you're teaching about something. There was one time I was teaching about homelessness, and students came in and a few classes later and said, there's a huge, I drove by the exit to get off my house or the freeway, and there's a huge homeless encampment there. And I had never seen it before, but I don't think it wasn't there. I think I just wasn't seeing it. And to me, that's the most important thing about doing service learning well at a Catholic school, is because it opens our eyes to see the needs of the world, so that in these big, beautiful hearts that our students have, and their wildly creative and imaginative and bold minds together, they will work to solve these problems. I have no doubt that we are educating the future leaders and change makers of the world, but it's our job to sort of form them as ethical leaders, to be able to look around, identify those problems, and make a plan. So that is why our service is so important to us, as we continue to regrow our commitment to getting not just what we're doing on the hill, but off the hill, as we come out of sort of the COVID reality of the difficulty of just getting kids placed into different opportunities. All right. So I think that is it for me. So now I would happily love to introduce Abby Davitt, who has taken on this role of our 9th grade counselor. Abby is an alum from Flint Ridge Sacred Heart and has served for, I think, the last 9 years, correct me if I'm wrong, as our campus minister. So she's someone who, how blessed are these 9th graders to get to work with her this year, and just really embodies what we hope our TOLOGs turn out to be. So take it away, Abby.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Yeah, what a nice introduction. Thank you. And what a great segue. I will just briefly touch on the 9th grade kind of experience and what a freshman student can kind of expect. And I won't go into too many details, because I think they will be explained later, especially for courses and academics. But a typical freshman schedule, or most schedules, would include math, and our amazing math department chair is here to talk about those options later. English, biology. So freshmen typically will take biology their first year. We have a foreign language program. We also have electives that I can like briefly touch on in a moment. So which is very very key to like the whole person learning that our students can like explore and touch on visual and performing arts and like express themselves in a different way and learn about like a cool, exciting class. And then freshmen here take PE/health. And then as Rebecca mentioned, all freshmen will take religious studies as well. Some of our like most common electives that freshmen take include dance. So we have like a tons of VAPA, so visual and performing arts electives, such as dance, choral, and the choir sang at our mass today, and we're so beautiful. The dance, there's a like we have a really like vibrant dance program with the dance concert in February, I believe. Ceramics, art, stagecraft, theater. We also offer some freshmen are taking art of programming this year, as Rebecca mentioned, for our students that are really interested in STEM. We do like have a variety of courses they can choose from. Sophomore year, we do offer an engineering class that they can take, which can segue them to take honors engineering their senior year as well. And then also just like programming principles and things. And we also have journalism. Typically, freshmen don't take journalism. It's usually offered for sophomores, juniors, and seniors. And then we also have yearbook. And typically, we don't have, or it depends if freshmen do yearbook, but the past few years they have done yearbook, and we even have a few students helping out with yearbook that are freshmen, and they do it during the morning, like during a zero period. So anyway, lots of options. And just about journalism, I recently had a student who loves to write. And although she wasn't in journalism this year, like writing for our school newspaper, she emailed like the moderator, and he's going to have her be like a guest writer as a freshman. So we really, which maybe like segues into like the belonging aspect, really making sure, like I think this school is so special, because I really do think that there is a place for everyone. And like whatever your niche is, I think that I am confident that our students find it. They find their people, they find their programs and extracurriculars that really, really work for them. And it's beautiful to see them thrive. So it's very special to take on this role working with these freshmen, and guiding them and hearing their excitement for certain classes and sports and extracurriculars that what they want to be involved in, and kind of just seeing them get their feet wet with all of the programs that we offer. And I think something special about going to an all-girls school is not like being okay to like it's okay to fail. It's okay to do something or to try something and not be the greatest at it. And there's beauty in just trying it and like exploring all of your interests. So anyway, yeah, it's amazing to be on this journey with them. And yeah, they really, really are bright and amazing students. So just touching on some like programs that we offer to help like build belonging. We obviously do have freshman orientation that takes place the week before school starts, that gets them adjusted and acclimated to the high school experience. So we like, of course, like all the various games and icebreakers and building community with their class will take place through these couple days. And then they also will like walk through their kind of schedule and their classes, and they'll meet some of their teachers. And we have a one-to-one MacBook program here. So they engaged in like, we call it laptop boot camp this summer, where they all kind of got accustomed to their MacBook and like the various tech tools that they'll need to learn while they're a student here. We just had a club fair last week, clubs and co-curriculars. So the students can sign up for, as Rebecca mentioned, as she touched on our club program, and like the service component of club programs. So we do encourage students to sign up for a couple clubs, and then we also have various co-curriculars that they can get involved in as well. Yeah, and a lot of those are more junior, sophomore, junior, senior driven, but freshmen can engage in those. We have a freshman I just met with yesterday who's in Science Olympiad because she's like very science/STEM focused. So many freshmen want to be ambassadors for the school. And so our shout out to our admissions team who has given them opportunities to sign up for various events that they can support and represent our school in. And we have academic decathlon, and yeah, lots of others. Yeah, honor council as well. That's more sophomore, junior, and senior. But yeah, very student-led and student-driven programs, and a great way for students to kind of get involved. We also have speech and debate that a lot of freshmen will try, especially if they're looking to like engage in debate and strengthen like their communication and public speaking skills. I'm sure I'm forgetting some, but yes. And like I mentioned, we have a really vibrant athletic program here and visual and performing arts. So you can take the dance class, and we also have dance teams that meet after school as well. And like lots of students are involved in our fall play, which is Little Woman. And then our musical has yet to be announced, and that will be in the springtime. And that between stage crew and being involved on stage, that attracts so many of our students. And the theater program does such a great job about making it a space where if students are interested, they'll find a place for them, whether that's backstage, on stage, etc. And sports, yeah, we offer all of like the various sports. And I think I wish I knew the exact percentage of our students engaged in athletics, but it definitely is over 50%. So we have so many athletes. We have quite a few students that do multiple sports, different seasons. And yeah, just like a great way to get involved and like to build 70%. Yes, there you go, 70%. So yeah, a great way to build those and strengthen like all of those team building skills, and also really contributes to meeting new people. So we do encourage freshmen to at least, whether they are an athlete or are like interested in doing visual and performing arts. I just met with a girl who wants to start, a freshman who wants to start a mock trial again. So there is this push to get involved. And like I mentioned, like it's okay to try something and maybe not love it, but hey, you did it and you explored it. And I think that's like a really big beauty of our school. Because also you can try something and maybe it's like the best thing ever and you didn't know how much you liked it. So yeah, so much beauty and magic in our school. And yeah, our fall sports right now are tennis, golf. The golf team has really expanded. Volleyball as well is like huge, like a lot of freshman interest for actually all three of those sports. And there's definitely a lot of communication beforehand in the summer for those students that want to be involved in fall sports. And our athletic department and director is amazing, Stephanie Contreras. And just kind of concluding, um, our counseling, and I also will speak on behalf of our Director of Psychological Services, Nicole Narden. So yeah, we have a counseling, wellness, human development program here. And we also have Nicole Narden, who is a licensed marriage and family therapist, who meets with girls individually. She also implements like a wellness curriculum and program into the freshman PE classes, along with a few of the religious studies classes as well. And in my role, I go into the religious studies classes twice a month and implement a human development program. And yeah, and then the best part of my job is getting to know all of the freshmen and meeting all of the amazing counselors and yeah, meeting all of the amazing students and connecting with all of the counselors that are other grade level counselors, and really supporting our freshmen in any way that they can, whether that's wanting to get involved in new ways, helping navigate friendships and just life struggles and changes, the navigating the adjustment from elementary school to high school, and making sure that they feel really safe to explore who they are, as Rebecca mentioned and talked about that so beautifully. And also, we do have a wellness room here in our counseling cottage. So all of the grade level counselors are in one cottage right above Nurse Kathy. So it is kind of this like wellness area, which is where our nurse is. She's right below us. And we have a space called the wellness room where students can go throughout the day if they're just feeling anxious, or just having a hard time, or they just need some space to themselves, or they need to talk to an adult. Yeah, there's a whole protocol for that the students are very aware of and very respectful of. But it is something that we offer here to just support, just another way to support our students. And yeah, and Rebecca mentioned like our retreat program that we have that helps cultivate bonding. There's a freshman board, leadership board, and they like help organize events for the freshman class, and they run the class meetings. And there's also various socials. And actually, the freshmen just had a social with St. Francis that was organized by Miss Kim and like our administrators. So definitely building that relationship with St. Francis as well. I feel like I talked way too much. I hope this was helpful and made sense. And I hope you all have a great evening learning all about all things Shaw. And I will pass it over to Carol, amazing Carol Jones, our math department chair.
Hi, I have no idea what happened to my slide. It was there a minute ago, so I'm not quite sure where all the bullet points went. But anyway, that's okay because I can talk. I don't need no, that's not me. Okay. Hi, good evening, everyone. My name's Carol Jones, and as you can tell, I am not a Native American in terms of being born here, but I am a citizen now, and I've been in the United States for 20 years almost. I originally came to Houston, Texas, where I was vice principal at the British International School there. And I have now been at what I call the happiest place on earth, not Disney, here, for the last almost 8 years. It has been an absolute joy working at this school. It really is the most incredible place to work. And I've worked at a lot of places around the world, but this most certainly is the place to be. So first of all, what I'd like to do is introduce you to my math department. We have Kirk Nish, who is has been here many years, over 20 years, and we have 3 other newish members of staff. June, who is teaching geometry and has taught algebra to freshmen in the past and also helped me teach summer school. And Sean Mann, who is a new appointment this year, who is a very experienced AP. There we go. Great. Thank you. Who's a very experienced AP calculus teacher. And Cody Fields, who is a graduate from Pepperdine, who is a newly qualified teacher, who is also teaching AP Calculus and teaching various other parts of geometry and algebra too. So that is who the department are. We are all, we've all got degrees in math, which is incredible. My department is so incredibly talented as teachers, and I'm really proud to be the chair of that department. We run various courses, starting with Algebra 1 and Advanced Algebra, which I teach the Advanced Algebra to freshmen this year. And we also do geometry and honours geometry. And then we move into Algebra 2, and then finally pre-calculus, honours pre-calculus, moving into APs, which we do AB and BC as juniors and seniors, dependent on the route that they've gone through the programme. So there are 2 AP classes this year, AB and 1 BC. So we've got many students who have reached that level, and we've got an incredible success rate with AP results within the department. And very excited that Cody and June and Sean are taking control of the whole of the calculus section of the curriculum, and they are moving that forward this year and developing new strategies for teaching it. I myself have also introduced statistics into the curriculum. When I first came here, I taught AP statistics. It is a very difficult course. Students find it incredibly challenging because many of them have never done statistics until they become seniors. And the actual way that the AP statistics is viewed by universities, it really doesn't count for extra credit. And it's also an incredibly difficult one to achieve a high score on. And so I adapted that, and now I deliver the senior research project in statistics, which is based on the AP course without the examination, but it also allows students to investigate something that they're passionate about from a mathematical and statistical angle, and it links into so many future careers, and I've had some incredible projects, and large groups of students choose that now, and it's very exciting to teach. I also teach regular statistics to seniors, and that's basically for the students. I developed that course as well. That is for the students who, after junior year, are really done with maths. It may not be their biggest strength, and they feel very concerned about going on to do calculus. And so this is an alternative which is more useful for the practical kind of application of math and statistics. So looking at things like finance and business and marketing and even research, it has a little bit of an overlap with the senior research project as well. So that's very loosely what our math curriculum is. There's so many different options for students depending on their ability and where their major interests lie. And that is all on our website, and there is a flowchart which shows all the different directions that students can go in dependent on where they start in freshman year. So moving on to what the expectations of the incoming students are for us as a math department. I have taught summer school here now for the past 5 years. And we started off by teaching students who needed a little bit of a bridging gap between middle school and moving into Algebra 1. And that's how it started. And when I first started teaching it 5 years ago, my main concern was the lack of mental math skills from students who were coming in from middle schools. So that was something that we tried to develop when they came in as freshmen, doing more non-calculator work and going over some basic skills with them to start with. So that's really, if we look at the freshmen coming in who are in that situation, most of those students should have attended a summer school program with us, which we put on every year for 3 weeks. And it's to acknowledge the fact that some students may not have a great depth of knowledge in basics, and we try and focus on that, like times tables, basic number skills, fractions, percentages, decimals, negative numbers, all those kinds of things. And over the years, I have noticed that those skills have improved slightly, but we definitely needed to find out who were the stronger mathematicians coming in as freshmen. And so we developed, we took the placement test. I reassessed the entire placement test this year. And for the first time in the summer, we gave a non-calculator basic skills test. And it was quite enlightening, the variety of scores going from 0 to 50, with quite a number of students getting under 10 marks out of 50 on a non-calculator paper. And that really was on basic negative numbers and PEMDAS and decimals and fractions. It was nothing terribly challenging, but it did raise a few red flags for us as a department. And just looking at linking this in with our major concerns, I cross-referenced all those kinds of scores with the teacher recommendations from the schools. And I actually had one student who had actually scored 8 marks out of 50 on a regular non-calculator, just basic skills test. And the teacher's recommendation for that student was an excellent mathematician. So we obviously have some work to do in terms of preparation of students to come in. And we are suggesting for next year that everybody who applies for the school does an entry class, a placement test, which is the first one that we run in April. And that's one non-calculator test, which I've just spoken about. And then there's a second one that's an hour with a calculator. And that is it's with a calculator for the ones that have got who are allowed to use a calculator in middle school. But for the others, it will be, again, a non-calculator test, but it will be on skills, and it will involve some algebra and it will involve some geometry. So what we're actually trying to identify at a very early stage is who are the students who can be put into classes which have got more support. And Margot does an incredible job supporting those teachers. Margot and I both teach summer school. She does the English and I do the math. And we talk about how we can support those students. And we know very early in the April which students are the ones that need to have that extra support. And we put that in place before they get here so that the teachers who are teaching them know exactly what their needs are. So that has been incredibly successful this year because we identified the groups of students who were in that situation, and we had all the information available, so we know exactly where to pitch our teaching at for the Algebra 1 basic class. What it also, as Rebecca mentioned before, I taught the basic algebra for one session, and I also taught the advanced algebra for another. So once we graded the placement tests, and I grade all the placement tests, so I know every student and what kind of scores they've got. And what I did this year was I took those advanced students, the ones that had got higher scores, and invited them to come to the advanced summer school. And some of them that were on the borderline that looked like they had potential were also invited, which meant that some of those students did really well in those 3 weeks. And I just wanted to give them a chance to be in the advanced class as a freshman, to then give them the chance in summer school next year to take the geometry class and then move into an advanced honours class, an honours algebra 2 class as sophomores. So what it meant that I ended up with 28 students in my class this year for advanced algebra, which is the highest amount of students I've ever had here. It's not a problem. The room's big enough. They're all fantastic students. I love them. They're one of my, I mean, I love all my kids, but these students are so enthusiastic, and it's a joy to teach them. And they all want to stay in that class. So they're all working really, really hard. So that's been a really good, it created a really good situation because it meant that our regular Algebra 1 classes were smaller and mine was bigger, but that was okay because mine were already the students who understood the basic skills. So moving forward, those students will have the ability to get to AP classes as juniors or seniors, which is really exciting that we're going to hopefully in 2 or 3 years' time have even more AP classes in our department. So that is basically what we have done. Of course, there are some freshmen who come in who were getting like the range of scores literally in the skills test, which was out of 60. The lowest score was 8 and the highest score was 59. So we had a huge range of students, and there's like 100 students almost took the test. And so what it enabled me to do was see who were the students who were able to go in at a higher level as freshmen. And so we put on another test, a third placement test, which is an algebra test. And that was done in May. and we invited the high scoring students in there. Everybody could come, but we absolutely recommended the high scoring students. And out of those students, I think it was 12 we had that went immediately into Algebra 2 as freshmen. And what they can do now is they can take their geometry classes in summer school next year at the end of freshman year, and then they've already done Algebra 2 honours, and then they will go into honours pre-calculus when they get into sophomore year, and then they can get on the AP class as they go through. So it's really a massive varied course. If anybody wants to contact me and ask any more detailed questions about the math curriculum, it's quite complex. But I feel this year, for the first time, we have got people in the correct groups and everybody's thriving. It's so exciting to see my department enthused about how the freshmen are adapting to their new courses and how enthusiastic they are, and how hardworking they all are. And it kind of makes our life easier because we've got these great students and we know we've got them in the right place for their ability. And we also have the option to extend them further dependent on how they achieve this year. So that's been super exciting for me, thinking that we did it right in the summer. The one thing that moving forward, the one thing that I want to express as a concern is the way that the teacher assessments come in from the middle schools when we get them in terms of my department. And Andrea and I have worked on producing a new assessment sheet for teachers of potential students here to fill in. And it's a little bit more detailed so that we can actually see exactly what they have been taught in regards to algebra. And then that will help us place them even more accurately next year. So that would be my request to your schools, to really look at the assessment that you're giving the students when you're writing down your views and opinions. And the more information we have, the better it will be for us, and we'll make sure that that all these great students coming to us as freshmen get placed in the correct groups. So I know I talk a lot. I've probably gone over. I'm sorry, but that's pretty much me. As I say, if there's anything that anybody would like to ask in more detail, either ask tonight or you know where I am. Thank you. Okay, so now I believe I'm passing over to our amazing Dr. Walker in our World Languages Department.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I'm so happy that you're here with us this evening, and I'm very excited to be able to talk to you about our World Language Program. I just want to make a statement at the beginning that I like to say whenever I talk about our language program, is that we believe that language acquisition is for everyone, and that all students can be successful at it and also benefit from that language learning. And because of that belief, that starts with our starting point for our philosophy of where we go with our program. And to meet students where they're at and to be able to provide them and facilitate that acquisition process all the way through our series, and to meet all their needs and help them acquire the language and what comes with that, of that understanding of the world that they're a part of and the world that is still out there for them to learn about and discover. Our program offers 2 robust language series, both with an honors and AP aspect to it, and also as well as a non-honors. We offer French and Spanish, and I like to point out that we do offer that honors and AP a pathway, as well as the non-honors, because we want, as I mentioned, with all students can acquire language, and we want to make sure we're meeting all their needs. Some that are wanting to go further, that are able to go further quicker, and others who are in a different path, in a different way. There's a place for everybody in our program. So with our French program, we offer our levels 1 through AP through our language series. And with Spanish, we offer the same with levels 1 through AP, but we've also included new course last couple years to have students go beyond that AP level, which we call our Honor Spanish 5, which is extremely unique in a school. We've designed it here ourselves to be able to have an interdisciplinary um, aspect and exploration and deep dive into Spanish-speaking world. It's subtitled Innovators and Impact Change Makers in our Spanish-speaking world, as we get to explore and learn about amazing people, organizations, and other groups who have continue to contribute in all different ways into the cultural conversation that is happening. Our program is designed for a variety of proficiency levels for student growth and progression in all modalities, listening, reading, speaking, and writing, whether that be interpersonal, conversational, or more academic. We provide our language pedagogy via an acquisition-driven approach, which means we focus on comprehension and communication. Um, in the sense that we want all students to be able to understand with that scaffolded learning, right? So many times people might ask, "Oh, is your program an immersion program?" And I always like to point out, let's define immersion, because if immersion means I'm immersed in something and I'm drowning and I'm not surviving, that's not what our program is. If immersion to you means that you're immersed in it and you're thriving and swimming through it and understanding everything, that's what our program is, right? We want to be able to have students understand what they hear and what they read, to be able to make those connections in their brain as they're creating that new language map, and to have that then be through understanding and not through overwhelming or drowning. We offer a placement test in order to make sure that all of our students are placed in the best and most appropriate place when they start to come in, because we want our students to push themselves and acquire as much language as possible. So because of that, no matter what type, and our program, our placement exam has been designed so no matter what type of language program they might have come from, whether they're heritage speakers or whatever level of heritage speakers they are, we can find the best and appropriate course for them to start in, to be able to thrive and progress through the series. An important aspect in our language program is, of course, the cultural aspect. Language doesn't exist in a vacuum, right? Language is culture, culture is language. And so we really focus on cultural topics as the vehicle for the language acquisition process. We learn about lots of different aspects of interesting and celebrities maybe, or certain areas of our Spanish speaking world, our world right here around us in Los Angeles, our own families who are come from Spanish speaking traditions, and how all those cultures, different cultures, whether that be from Francophone culture or Spanish speaking culture, um, and how we can see that in our lives and around us. Something I also like to point out is that we want our students to see themselves reflected in our curriculum, and at the same time learn about and see others who are not like them. And between those two um, ways of seeing the world, right, adding that framing to help them understand who they are and how they reach out and understand others. In addition, um, we have opportunities for students to participate in service activities, in honors programs, and honors societies, and help them, whether that be in our with our French program or in our Spanish program. Um, I'm very excited and proud of our language program that's been developed over the past few years. This is my 12th year here, at Flourish Sacred Heart, and developing our language program has been exciting and rewarding as to see our students thrive through this program, through their understanding, through their interest, through their confidence, and through their understanding. Also to have see them how they can apply what they learn, not only with language, through language, but about cultures and how they've been able to apply that to their other courses, whether that be in their research projects. We tend to see a lot of connections and overlap with the types of topics that they choose to do their research projects their junior year and their senior year, and where those things started when they were in freshmen, or when they were sophomores, what have you. Um, and I'd just like to end by saying that we really want our students to find the right place for their growth and their progression, so that they can thrive. I think I'm going to turn it over now to Margot, Miss Payne.
Hi, welcome everybody. I'm Margot Payne. I'm the Director of Academic Services, or the Learning Specialist, the Ed Therapist. And I'm going to explain the academic supports we offer for all of our students. Specifically, I work with our students with disabilities, but I offer supports to any student who wants to study or get organized or is feeling overwhelmed. I want to start with the message at the top that we welcome students with disabilities, that cultivating a diverse community of learners, of thinkers, is a part of our mission. So supporting those students is also a part of our mission. We have 3 tiers of support. The first tier is available to everybody, and it includes school-wide supports like office hours, which we have Monday through Thursday after school. Students can go visit their teachers for additional help. Our peer tutoring program, which pairs specific peer tutors in a specific subject like geometry or chemistry or physics with a student who needs peer tutoring. And then our study hall, which this year happens about once a week for 40 minutes. And that's a concentrated, focused time for students to get work done. Our tier 2 is specifically for our students with disabilities. We offer individual accommodations through a formal learning plan for our students with documented diagnoses. They do need to have documentation. Our documentation guidelines are very similar to College Board's documentation guidelines, if you're familiar with those. We're a lot less rigid. We're more flexible in terms of the timing of how recent the report or the documentation needs to be, because we recognize updating a report every 3 or 5 years is incredibly expensive. So they can be old reports, they can be old documentation, but we do need documentation. This usually means a neuropsych report, a psychoed eval, an ADHD evaluation, or an IEP through a school district. Occasionally, this can be a letter, a very detailed letter that includes specific criteria from a doctor, a psychologist, or a psychiatrist. When we have documentation, we hold formal plans for our students. And this is, a list of strengths and challenges and a little bit of educational history, and more specifically, a list of accommodations that teachers will provide to the student in classes. This follows them all 4 years. We offer extended time, tests in a separate setting, copies of notes, use of a calculator or a computer, text-to-speech software, speech-to-text software. Our Amazing World Language program that you just heard about offers transcripts for listening portions of exams for our students with auditory processing deficits or working memory deficits. Students, this is a common question, students may take ASL off campus if they're a student whose disability really impacts their ability to learn a language, but we have almost nobody do that. I think we have 1 student in the past 5 years who has done that, because as you heard from Dr. Walker, the World Language Program is so successful and so great at supporting our students. They elect to take our World Language classes. The third tier there, directed study class, is kind of the most support we offer, and I think is a little unique to our school. And it's created for students with disabilities, but isn't only for students with disabilities. So if we have a student who we suspect has a learning issue or is just having a difficult time but doesn't have documentation, they may take that class. Students with disabilities usually take that class, but do not have to. We have plenty who just use accommodations and fly through the rest of our program. So about 15 to 20% of the students in that class don't have a disability. And it's programmed into their day like any other 80-minute block. So they'll have it 2 or 3 times a week. And they have to forego another class in order to take it. So generally freshman year, that's biology or their elective, or occasionally their world language, and they'll either take like biology over the summer or delay it to junior year or delay their world language and just start world language sophomore year. Very few of them elect to not take their elective, but some do that as well. It's a class for getting organized, getting help from me, learning study skills, learning planning skills. They have to have a planner as a freshman and a sophomore. We work on self-advocacy, communication with teachers. There's a variety of mini lessons I teach, but it's primarily time for them to work and get ahead in their work. They may also use it for their extended time. We have a proctoring room every block that's an empty room just for students with an accommodation where they can take their tests outside of the class. And so they'll go to those proctoring rooms sometimes during their study to finish tests. We create homework plans. We share those with parents at the beginning of the semester. We goal set. But again, primarily it's time, a block in their day to alleviate feeling overwhelmed. They get their work done in there. They get to work ahead. They get to study. It's designed to allow students who might be challenged with our 7 courses, which is a lot. We recognize that, succeed more comfortably within the curriculum. It's also for students. I've had juniors and seniors who are taking, 4 or 5 APs, but they have a disability that necessitates they work more slowly. And so they're allowed to take the study for that and within that goal as well. Between tier 2 and tier 3, we serve about 80 students. I collaborate a lot with all the people who've already spoken here, teachers, our counselors, parents, outside professionals. And as you've heard from all the teachers or faculty who've spoken here tonight, people do a tremendous job of supporting our students on an individual level and really making a point to connect with them and find out what their specific gifts or goals or pathway is, which is, I think, why we're successful with all of our students. And thank you.
So I think now is just time for any questions from the panelists. So you can feel free to drop that in the chat. And if you have any questions.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
No worries.
Just like our devices, when we're texting, it has like the ... so we know that somebody's coming in. Unfortunately, through this, we don't actually know until the question pops up if somebody actually has a question. So it's just a little bit of a waiting game to see if a question comes into the question and answer section, which is at the bottom of your screen.
Yeah, all good. I do want to follow this up just by saying that we will be, this is a recorded session, so we will be blasting this back out to you guys, as well as including email addresses for all the participants and presenters from today. So should you have any questions or follow-up questions, and just really appreciate you all joining us tonight. I will give it a few more minutes and then we'll we'll call it good.
As we wait, I can share, I just can't help it. I can share a couple of just kind of fun facts or FAQs, and just see if anything comes up. But if not, feel free to sign off. People often don't know that our day students can actually stay in the boarding hall, in the residence hall, for there's a weekly rate and a monthly rate, and it's very low. I think I want to say the weekly rate's it's less than $200. I think it's $175. So if there are it's good for you all to know as representatives for your school, if there's parents who have to travel a lot or do anything like that. And it's they can, pay a really reasonable rate. It comes not with lunch, but with dinner and breakfast. For I think $175 a week, as long as there's room in our residence hall. So it's a nice thing too for our day students to get to sort of do a day in the life over at the residence hall. And so it's something that a handful of students every year get to take part in. The other thing Abby mentioned, and one thing that we're really working to grow, is the brother-sister partnership with St. Francis. Historically, we've had a really great connection with them. We share a lot of families, and actually we compete in the Mission League against co-ed schools, but kind of together. So there's some really practical ways in which we are connected. We play soccer over there. Many of our students are on their cheer team. Some of our students are in their plays. And Tracy Traver, the principal at St. Francis, is actually an alum and the mother of a recent graduate who graduated last year. And many of us had the pleasure to teach. So it's been great to get to connect with a strong female leader at the all-boys school in Tracy. And we've been working together to find different pathways for intentional partnership, really looking to just help students create healthy relationships, which is a need that we saw emerge post-COVID, that in a way that we used to just kind of say, oh, the students will figure out how to make friends, the male gendered friends. It wasn't happening in the same way. And we wanted to make sure we're offering some healthy opportunities for that outside of just the normal, not that it's not healthy, but the normal sort of dances and football games and basketball games and things like that, where the kids, intermingle and everything like that. So that's there's a book club starting, a wonderful problem to have. We have over 100 kids signed up for a book club. So we love reading or the opportunity to meet. That's combined from both schools. So yeah, that's our joke, is we really are thrilled about the passion for reading at both of our campuses. So we're really working on that, which is a really unique thing that I'm proud to be able to offer to our students. But those are my fun facts. That's what I got. So I think I might be wrapping up.
They're great fun facts.
Thank you. I try.
I love it. Well, thank you guys very much for attending. I really appreciate it. And we will hold it here. And then again, I will email out tomorrow with everybody's contact information. So should you have any follow-up questions. All right. Thank you guys very, very much. I really appreciate it.